If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Matthew 5:46. Boom! Jesus drops an A-bomb. Welcome to our new series for this week, Q&A with Jesus. Questions from Jesus in the Gospels. Did you know that there's upwards of 300 questions Jesus asked? Some of these questions are fascinating. Some of them are thought-provoking. Some of them are just simply inspiring. Some of them seem very simple and like, duh, Jesus. But then when you analyze the context and the reason why Jesus asked that question, then you realize that you and I are in trouble because there's a reason why he asked such questions. Some of them will even shake you to the core and even make you reevaluate your entire belief system. At the end of the day, there's a reason why Jesus asked such question. In the context of loving your enemies, you see, chapter 5 of Matthew starts out with the Beatitudes. This is what we know very popularly as the Sermon on the Mount. And he starts talking about the Beatitudes. Then he goes on to talk about salt and light, and then the fulfillment of the law. Then he talks about murder starting in the heart, then also adultery in the heart. Then he talks about going the extra mile. Then towards the end of the chapter, that piece of scripture, that passage, best for last, right? Loving your enemies. This is what it says in the verse. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? What do you think about that? What do you think about that? I mean, is he condemning loving others? And we could probably use a word here that we could insert to paraphrase it a little and be able to understand it better. Instead of, if you love those who love you, how about maybe inserting a word where it says, if you only love those who love you, what reward will you get? That makes a little better sense here because after all, Jesus did say, love your neighbor, right? There's no way that loving anyone would be wrong. Maybe only loving some will be wrong. Are you loving your neighbor, whoever that neighbor may be? Is it possible you're only loving those neighbors that are loving you? We have to define who your neighbor is too. The way you send that practical message of love to your spouse, very different from the way you send that practical message of love to your next door neighbor who may only be an acquaintance, even a stranger. Be the way you show your love to your boss, someone in the basketball team that you play with. So you gotta define how you show that love to your neighbor based on who your neighbor is. Well, love is love. The way you show your love to your boss or your co-worker, very different to the way you show your love to someone at church whom you've known for years. You gotta define who your neighbor is and what that message of practical love will be. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that that message of practical love is received as such. Want a challenge? This is where it gets tough. Make sure, and through prayer, yes, that message of practical love you send to all of the people around you is the kind that inspires them to love you and or to love others. God bless you.